Good morning. This is Ron Brown. It's November 6th, 2021. I'm going to do a short video here, point out some things that you can do with HGSI and my files if you're a member of the Insider Club, or you can do this on your own if you want to. I was just noticing some of the discussion on the Skype board, and they were looking for strong stocks or stocks that are moving, and HGSI makes it relatively easy for us. What I've done is with these SmartGroups, which are under Woodward and Brown, there's stocks and groups moving to the downside and to the upside. Now you can access them from here if you want to, or if you have my files, you can just go into the stocks and groups moving up and down. What I've done here is I have just linked these views, warehouse views, to those smart groups that I just pointed out. So if I click on this, it says stocks and groups moving up smart group. Here's the intraday version. They're both using the same filter. And here's the 1 to 15 group. So I'm going to click on the first group. You can see that I have my industry, or my spectrum analyzer up here. I'll close it. If you don't know how to use it, you just click on that and it opens, and I put it in this portion of my screen since I have a large monitor. So what do I have over here? I have one of my charts, my chart with all the moving averages on it, the 3 and the 6, the 200, the 100, the 50, and the 18. And then this is a weekly chart using the Kirkpatrick relative strength, which is based upon 26 weeks of closing prices on a weekly basis. So let's just take a look here and see what's going on. The way this works is, you can see the combo rank right here is the percentage price one-day change for the industries. So if I sort on raw combo, which is driving this, you can see that the entertainment facilities group was up the most at 5.5% over a 5-day period, up 17.14%. So this is all sorted for you. Now if you want to do a secondary sort, you just come in here. I'm going to put percent PR, and that locates this, and these will be resorted according, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Let me redo that. So I'm sorted on the industry percentage change, and I meant to just type in percent PR, percentage price change one day, then these are resorted. And you can see that on the entertainment group, Live Nation was up 15.1%. AMC is up 4.1%. Then I'm going into another group, the electrical components. And these are sorted according to the percentage price change of the industries and then of the stock. If there's only one stock in here, obviously it doesn't matter. But let's go down here to industrial distribution. Up 2.77%. There are 4 of them. You can see that the ones that gained the most are at the top of the list. Okay, so clicking through to the spectrum analyzer, let me do that one more time. It shows you which groups dominated according to numbers. So semiconductor devices was a dominant group. Exploration protection was second. Semiconductor manufacturing was third. So you can see these slices. When you click on the slices, you can just go directly to one of the stocks in that group, and it's hyperlinked over here, and you can see that AMD has had a tremendous run based upon this chart. It was the 3 was below the 6. At this point, I'll put a crosshair on alternate C. You can see it was coming down, but we were getting some VPA flags. Here's a low volume test. This one is strength seen returning after a downtrend, low volume test, and then where was the crossover? It was right here at this point where the 3 went above the 6. You can see that the 18 was above the 50, and it looks like the 6 was above the 18. Very close right there. Now we look at this and we say, boy, this is late in the game. How do I find when these stocks are starting to move? Well, let's take a look at this. I'm on AMD. I'm going to right mouse click. I'm going to change to the industry group. And these are the semiconductor devices that are showing up. Notice that the spectrum analyzer changed to a single color. And what I want to do now is I want to change charts here. I'm going to go down. And by the way, I've rearranged some of these, so I want you to delete your warehouse and chart views today before you reinstall. I have limited my Undercut and Rally. There were 2 other groups. I deleted those, and I'm just going with the VPA or candles for the Undercut and Rally because it does everything I want it to do. So let's take a look at the Undercut and Rally. But I'm looking at the warehouse views. I want the chart view. Sorry about that. So I'll click on that. And you can see down here in folder number 12, there are 4 charts. I want to look at chart number 2 because it shows where the 3 went above the 6. So this is a visual indicator. And this light green line over here showed that there was some accumulation. This just happens to correspond with those 2 VPA flags. And then here's the crossover right here or right here. I'm going to make this full screen. Let's zoom in on this. Go alternate 1. And here, let's see, it was really just crossed over this day right here, and then it followed through the next day, and then it digested those gains for a few days, but the 3 remained above the 6, the green remained above the red, and it never did go below it. And look at this here, it didn't go below it here either after this pullback. The 3 crossing the 6 is often a decent time to get out of a stock, or if it doesn't cross, to hold on to it. Now I want to point out that in the new file today, I put another chart in here. This is a continuation of demand or supply, and the requirements are here that there's a pocket pivot, a volume pocket pivot only. The 3 has to be above the 6, and the 6 has to be above the 18. And in this instance, the 18 was also above the 50, and the volume point of control has to be positive. So every time those conditions are met, you're going to get a green line. This is continuation. This tells me that there is continued buying interest in these stocks when you have the pocket pivot and the other conditions are all met. But chart number 2 is the chart that shows us where the demand really came in, where there was some accumulation with the light green bars and then the crossover. So the 3 did cross the 6 on this day. It has to, because even though it's really hard to see, but the line is dark green. Let's go into this. I'm going to edit the indicator. Here's the filter. It's my chart filter. You can see if any of these conditions were met, VPA flags or these candles. And by the way, I put a few more candles in here. Tweezer bottom, inverted hammer, morning star. And the days since the last VPA is greater than 0. But here is this. If the days since the 3 crossed the 6 is limited to a 2-day window, so we wouldn't get a dark green bar here unless this condition was met. So even though it's hard to see on this chart, that's when it did occur. It's hard to see down here on the 3 and 6. Okay, now let's cancel this. So you're saying, okay, great. How do we find these when they're starting to move? Well, the Undercut and Rally scan will find them. But how do I know when the group's starting to move? Well, there's a couple things here. You can see this group line up here that I put in semiconductor devices. Here's a low, and then here's a higher low as this starts to move up. But that's a little bit late. So what I want to do is I'm going to click through to the designer. I'll go to the warehouse. I'll click through to the designer to bring up these charts. Now there's only 14 out of 64 are showing. So I'm going to go up here, hold the shift key, release the filter, and it's going to give me the entire group then. Okay, here's the group. Let's go back here. Let's look at this. This is what, the 6th of October. Let's do the index here and see when it gave a signal. Here's a signal here on the 7th. Okay, so this was a day later than AMD. And then here's another one on the 14th. The group as a whole pulled back here, but here's your original signal right here. Here's accumulation on these 2 days, on the 5th and the 6th. There's an effort to rise right there, but the group with all 64 or 63 securities plus the index didn't fire because it had to carry all of these stocks along with it. But it certainly fired the next day right here, and then a slight pullback, but then a reaccumulation on the group, and then a big move up here on the 14th. Okay, I want to do something else, but before I do that, I want to point out that in my user SmartGroups, I have put under the Undercut and Rally scans, which I just put in here. There are a couple of scans here. Here is industries crossing the 3 and 6 after a pullback, which would find a group like this on that day. And then here's an Undercut and Rally. Or here's one setting up after a pullback. So these two, you can see the industries are showing up here. And they're setting up. I'll just click on one. Let's look at internet-based services. It's a sloppy group. Look at the group up here, but we're seeing some signs of accumulation. I like it much tighter than that. Let's look at the internet media. So you can just see, until the 3 goes above the 6, these don't mean anything. So these are just showing groups that are showing some signs of accumulation. Just maybe an early warning, but not necessarily so. Now here's a much tighter one. But let's go up to this one here. Industries crossing the 3 and the 6. You can see that this is much tighter here. This is the exploration and production, integrated utilities, steel producers. There might be some steels that you want to look at, or defense prime. You can see these are much tighter when they fired. This one down here, strictly for early warning. And nothing may come of these, but it's showing some light green bars at just early accumulation. So this one here, and I just put these in, so I haven't really worked with them very long yet, and I'm just going to watch these and see how this works out. I'll be watching these 4 groups on Monday. So the steel, I need to remove my filter. Actually, I need to go to my industry groups here. And here I am. I had to pause that. I'm back here in my industry groups. The index is in here. So that smart group, which I just showed you, or the user smart group, would have shown this firing here and here. Would have fired here too. That didn't follow through. It looked like it was going to, and then it turned down. You can see the group turning down up here. But these heavy dark green lines will fire using that new undercut and rally scan with the group. So you just have to take a look, see if there's follow through or not. But in this very active semiconductor devices index, it worked out very well. Now I want to do one more thing before I end this video. I want to go into the user groups that I maintain, the non-index groups, and I want to go into the stocks and groups moving up. And let's just go back to October. I'll start on October 1st. Go through, I'll click through to the this, and let's bring up the spectrum analyzer. Now on October 1st, this is the way these stocks and groups pie chart looked. Are there any semiconductors in there? I don't see any. So let's just go down. I'll do the 1 in 15 group. Still don't see any. Look at the dates down here. This is the 4th. Are we seeing any semiconductors? Not yet. Exploration and production. Let's see. This is the 1 to 15 group. Semiconductors. Don't see anything yet. I'll skip the 1 to 15 groups. Okay, application software was the largest group on the 6th. Let's look on the 7th. Okay, we should start seeing them right here. There were 3 on that, and look what's here. This is AMD, which is the one I showed you, and so this appeared in the stocks and groups moving up. And here is another one, AEHR. Let's see, this is on the 5th. Right here, and then it appeared on the 6th. You can look down here in the corner, see this was the 6th. And I am on the 7th right here, so this appeared the day before. And look at that nice move on that one. How about Marvel? Where did it appear? Okay, Marvel appeared on the 6th also on the crossover. So they're starting to come into play, and this is going back to the 7th. Let's go back one day to the 6th. Well, actually, there were 5 here on the 6th. I overlooked this. So this is 10/6. This is the day AMD fired, AEHR fired, MTSI fired. That's the 18th. Here's the 6th, and then this one had a dip. Marvel fired on the 6th, and NVIDIA fired on the 6th. That's the 13th. Where's the 6th? I said it fired. It didn't fire. It appeared, though, on the 6th, and this is the 6th right here, and you can see that it was setting up and under accumulation. It also had an effort to rise bar, and then it just kind of went sideways for a while, and then here's another confirming move. So anyway, you can see why I keep these groups. I like to go back and see when rotation into groups began, and this works out very well. And if you're a member of the Insider Club, you're going to have all this history in here. I've done it for years. I don't think I've ever missed a day. If I did, it was unintentional, but this is a great way to see where rotation begins. And now I haven't paid any attention to the weekly chart here, but I like to take a look at the weeklies as I look at the dailies. So anyway, I wanted to show you that the stocks and groups moving up smart group is right here. A lot of things you can do with this, but if you want to really stay on top of what's happening, use this stocks and groups moving up, and carefully look and see where these are firing, where they're firing, or where they're starting to appear, I should say. Okay, that's going to be it for this week. Make sure you delete your warehouse views and your chart views, because I've added some things. I don't have time to discuss that today, but going forward